Do you like it when I'm dramatic? Darlings. This is 9th of September 2025. I just realised I can talk about this album because it's down here. And I thought I would speak about this because when this came out, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. When this album came out in 2008, actually when was this released? Oh, I was listening to it in, I actually was listening to this in 2008. And I listened to it a lot, a great deal. And then, what happened was, I didn't hear it for years and years and years. And then, it became that, it reminded me of the times I'd heard it. And so, I had this emotional connection to it, or it reminded me of the time I heard it and I couldn't go back to it. I felt like I couldn't go back to it ever again. And for years and years and years, I didn't go near this album at all. In fact, I'd written it off. I'd completely written this album off. Totally. And then, a year ago, I heard it and I thought, oh, and there was still that emotional attachment from years ago on it. And it was a bit haunting. As I heard it again, and I'd go through each track and say, yeah, oh, that's good. But then that reminds me of the time I heard it. It kept reminding me of the time I heard it. Do you get that? Do you get that? And what happened, I went through a couple of phases with this album. I was like, it's a really good album. And then I would be like, I don't ever want to hear it ever again. And then only 6 weeks ago, before Ozzy's passing, was I went back to listen to Osmosis, which is a fantastic album. Actually, Scream, I'd written Scream off completely. Great album. This album is a terrific album. This is actually it's a terrific album from start to finish. I was haunted by it because of things that were in my mind, my brain about it, an OCD thing, if you will, and I decided in the deeper recesses of my mind and my heart that I would try to get past that, because it was very heavy. And so, actually, during the last month now, I have been revisiting this album. I've been getting to know it. Actually, in fact, I actually got to know it a lot. Like Doubting Thomas. Doubting Thomas is from which song? This is the back cover, by the way. This is unopened. I bought this 3 years ago, from JB Hi-Fi. It was on sale. I paid about $50 for it. Actually, no, I did not. I bought this from eBay. A month ago. Oh, it was a month ago. Actually, a month ago I was like, I'm selling this. I'm going to sell it. And also, I was going to sell this as well. Where is it? I was actually going to sell this as well. I was going to part ways with this as well. Then Ozzy passed. I'm like, it'd be so sacrilegious to sell these right now. I'd have to wait a year before I did it. Like, Ozzy's passed. It'd be the wrong thing to do. And you're thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? No more tears. I never need to hear Mama, I'm Coming Home ever again. This album came out. When it came out, I listened to it in my friend's car. We'd go for long cruises. We'd listen to it in his car. I listened to this album a lot, a great deal, when it came out. It was huge. It was big. I listened to it. And there's some of this album that I cannot handle, but I'm getting used to it. Like, I've heard this album many times when it came out, and then for years and years I didn't hear it, and I went back to it, and I struggle with this album. It's part of the classic era. Yes, that's true and correct. It's part of the classic era. Actually, Osmosis is the last of the classic era. Osmosis is, would you agree? Osmosis is the last. Osmosis, I've been through my things with that album too, like completely writing it off, and now I love it. I love it. This has been a difficult album for me to connect with over the years. I think I connect more with side B, with the oh. I saw Ozzy with Zach Wild at the Sydney Entertainment Centre in 1998. Best concert I've ever been to. Best concert I've ever been to. Favourite band, Guns N' Roses, but however, Ozzy and Sabbath, and the Stones. I've got to have the Stones in there. Rolling, is there another kind? This I bought from JB Hi-Fi a couple of years ago, unopened. And just before Ozzy passed, a week before Ozzy passed, I was like, right, Black Rain, No More Tears, never want to hear that. I'm just going to sell them. And I just kept putting it off. I was lazy, I kept putting it off. I was going to put it on Facebook Marketplace. I kept not getting around to it, then Ozzy passed. Just before he passed, I'd been revisiting the albums. I'd been listening to Bark at the Moon. I'd been listening to The Ultimate Sin. I'd been listening to No Rest for the Wicked. I even like Ordinary Man now, which I had great issues with before. And so, it was just before Ozzy passed, I'd been listening to the albums again. I am no longer selling these. I'm not selling this anymore. I'm keeping these now. I also picked this up. I picked this up a couple of years ago from eBay. It's the anniversary edition. My sentimental favourite. This is my. In 1985, there was a kid at school. He had the Metal Madness, the skeleton with the red mohawk. He had the Metal Madness soundtrack on vinyl. I said, can I borrow it? He offered me to borrow it, let me have 24 hours. Took it home, played it, Twisted Sister, Dio, a guy called Ozzy Osbourne was like the last track on side A. It got to Bark at the Moon, my life changed. I was already like Ozzy Osbourne, I like that name, it's fascinating, the name's fascinating, I like it. Ozzy Osbourne, that name. I said, the name is, geez, that's a fascinating name. And then when Bark at the Moon came out, I was sold him. It wasn't like, I don't know if I like this. It was like, I'm sold, changed my life. What is this? Who is this? And ironically enough, I didn't come to this album for years later, because it's just a title track. But years later, I've come to appreciate this album. Sometimes I'll leave it alone for the lengths of time, and then I'll come back and revisit it. And there's one point about 6 weeks ago, and I was like, I don't know, this album isn't as good as I think it is. And then I thought, no, I need to give this, I really need to double check that. And so I listened to it properly again a few times too. This is a really well made album. And it's a bit funny too in some places. It's a very well orchestrated album. And it's got a nice rhythm to it. I had to pick this up as well. But I wanted to really... Darlings, can I tell you about my darling? Oh, this album. This is a great album. Do you like this album? Comments in the section below. Comments in the section below. Comments in the section below. It's a great album. I think I was so close to selling it too. I was so close to selling it that... See, Ozzy has many faces. Ozzy's actually a bit complicated. He showed a certain persona in the Osbournes. He displays a certain... I think Ozzy's down to earth, but I also think Ozzy is very clever, very clever. And some people don't think he is, but he is quite smart, actually. I think Ozzy is quite smart. Ozzy doesn't write his own songs. I think he's written one or two. I think he wrote Rock and Roll... Was it Rock and Roll Doctor? From Technical Ecstasy. He's written a couple... Lemmy wrote a good quarter of No More Tears album. Ozzy and Geezer contributed to No More Tears. Bob Daisley had written No More Tears, but then Sharon Osbourne got in contact with Bob Daisley. This is just from what I know about online, is that she said, you're not going to be required for this. It would be really interesting if Bob Daisley had used all that material for his own solo album, but Ozzy doesn't write his own lyrics. I think he writes a few of them. I think Ozzy wrote a few of these. There's definitely some songs I hear like Ozzy definitely had to have written that, but most of the time Ozzy would get right. Sharon would get rises in. Great album. Now, hi. So, I wanted to talk about Black Rain. Thanks for watching. Comments in the section below.